Hello students and viewers. So today our topic is transport of glucose across intestinal epithelium. So basically this process is known as absorption, right? And after digestion process of carbohydrate, in our previous videos I have gone through the digestion of carbohydrates. So can see that the digestion process, basically in the mouth there is an enzyme ptyalin or salivary amylase which mixes with the food and then it goes to stomach and acts a bit with the carbohydrates. Then gradually the process of digestion occur and the carbohydrate they are converted to monosaccharides, either glucose or fructose. After that, after the conversion, they become the nutrients and these are absorbed and goes to the blood, and after that we get the energy when the glucose are distributed to all our cells. There is then metabolism process starts and we get the energy. So but how the absorption takes place? Basically in the intestinal epithelium the transport of glucose occur, but this transport having a particular mechanism, and how this occur I will show this. Different sugars possess different mechanisms, right, for the absorption. Glucose is transported into the intestinal mucosal cell by a carrier mediated and energy requiring process. So this process is basically shown here, which is the carrier mediated process. Okay, you can see the whole process, right? Glucose and sodium share the same transport system, and when two molecules share the same transport system we call it symport. So this is the membrane and this is about the mucosal cell of intestine. Basically in our intestine there are 4 layers. Intestine having 4 layers. What are these? The innermost layer is mucosa, then submucosa, muscularis externa, and the outermost thin layer is serosa. So in the mucosa layer there is a thin lining epithelium which is columnar in nature, and this is the basically the intestinal mucosal cell. The concentration of Na+ is higher in the intestinal lumen. So the concentration of Na+ is higher in the intestinal lumen, and it is compared to the mucosal cell. So in the lumen, so this is the lumen and these are the cell, and I have drawn only one cell. There are a lining of cell present and all are columnar in nature basically, and in the lumen the concentration of Na+ is higher than the cell. Okay. Na+ therefore moves into the cells along its concentration gradient, and simultaneously glucose is transported into the intestinal cells. So this is mediated by the same carrier system. Thus Na+ diffuses into the cell and it drags glucose along with it. So can see the process. So Na+ diffuses cell and also it drags glucose along with this. Okay. The intestinal Na+ gradient is the energy, immediate energy, okay, for glucose transport. So this is the main thing. The energy is indirectly supplied by ATP since the re-entry of sodium against the concentration gradient into the intestinal lumen. So this is the process, and is an energy requiring process. So here ATP is required. The triphosphate break down into diphosphate, so 1 pi is released. So it is an energy requiring process. The enzyme is Na plus K plus ATPase is involved in the transport of Na plus in the exchange of K plus against the concentration gradient. So this is the thing. Okay, so the Na plus actually then move out from the mucosal cell again to the intestinal lumen. So if it is fructose absorption is relatively simple. It doesn't require energy and is independent of Na plus also. Fructose is transported by facilitated diffusion mediated by a carrier. Inside the epithelial cell, most of the fructose is converted to glucose. So for fructose, the process is facilitated diffusion. Where the Na plus is not required at all. Inside the epithelial cell, most of the fructose is converted to glucose, and then glucose is absorbed like this manner. Okay. So this is the way how the glucose in association with Na plus are absorbed from the intestinal mucosal cell to the capillaries. So this is the way, by the help of Na plus, and again Na plus comes out and the glucose goes to the capillaries, that is in the blood. Now what is ORT? ORT. So any of you heard the term ORT? What is ORT? ORT means oral rehydration therapy. So ORT is oral rehydration therapy, and it is the most common treatment of diarrhea. And diarrhea, you know that when there is very less amount of absorption, and the oral rehydration fluid contains glucose and sodium. Basically we give the ORS, and they contain glucose and sodium. Intestinal absorption of sodium is facilitated by the presence of glucose. The mechanism of absorption of galactose is similar to that of glucose. So you should remember that ORT means the oral rehydration therapy, and it is basically the ORS basically having glucose as well as sodium, and this is facilitated by the presence of the glucose. So hope this kind of information help you, and this is the very brief discussion about the absorption of glucose through the intestinal mucosal cell to the capillaries. If you have any query and question, you can ask or comment in the comment box. Thank you so much.